Hi, welcome to Straight Stitching, where I turn fabric into art one stitch at a time. My name is Tiffany, and I'm your guide to quilting with confidence. Whether you're a beginner and just starting out, or if you are a seasoned quilter and you're just looking for new projects, you're in the right place. I'm super excited today because I am going to be starting the first of a series where I will be introducing to you all what I'm calling the Straight Stitching Sew Sampler Quilt. This is a quilt that will be made up of 10 different quilt blocks. It's what we call a bookend quilt. I will show the picture here in a moment, and you'll get an idea or understanding of what that means. But ultimately, it's going to be two sets of quilt blocks, and sandwiched in between will be white space or background. So I think this is going to be a really great quilt. It's great for using up all of your scraps. Essentially, most of the pieces are going to you'll need either 4-inch square pieces or 3.5-inch square pieces. Most of the quilt is done with half square triangles. So again, it's a really quick and easy quilt. Great for beginners. And then again, if you're someone who is an experienced quilter, but you're just looking for a new project, I think you will enjoy this as well. You can certainly, as you're making this quilt, if you want to have more of a cohesive look, you may want to just cut yardage so that all of your fabrics kind of coordinate. But I'm going to be putting this quilt together using all of my scraps. I have, I guess, promised myself that I am not going to buy any more fabric until I use up the fabric that I have. So wish me luck. I think if you've quilted for any amount of time, you know how difficult that can be because there's always newer and prettier fabric, and it's always just calling our name. So again, for this particular quilt, I am going to be using scraps, and the scraps will be in the sizes of 4-inch square and 3.5-inch square. So you're going to need some colored or patterned fabrics as well as some background fabrics. And you will see that when you see the image of the quilt here when I post it. And I will share the information about how much background fabric you need. So hopefully you will stick around and you will follow me through this series. Today we're going to be working on block 1. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Please click the bell so that you can be notified when I post new videos. And following this video, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video. Also, if you're a new quilter or if there are things that you would like to know, if you search YouTube and you've not been able to find it, please share those type of comments as well. I'm happy to do videos just to help the quilting community, to make sure you know that we're all learning new things. So stick around. I will again post the information about this quilt, so I'll give you the number of pieces you're going to need and the sizes. So gather all of those things and come back, and we will put together the Straight Stitching Sew Sampler quilt together. Thanks for watching the channel. Have a good day. Pieces. I have them cut out here already, but I will walk you through what you'll need. You're going to need for each block, and remember we're going to do 2 of each block. You're going to need 4 of the white pieces or background fabric that are 3.5 by 3.5 inches. You'll also need your corners, and in my case, I'm doing orange and blue and white. So my corners are going to be orange. So you're going to need 4 of the corners. And for me, these are 3.5 by 3.5. And then for the star or the windmill, if you will, you're going to need pieces that are 4 inches by 4 inches so that we can make our half square triangles. So we'll have 2 half square triangles that are this blue and orange. And then we'll have the blue and again the background, which is the white. And these are going to be 4 inches by 4 inches as well. So I will make half square triangles out of this group of fabrics here, as well as out of this one here. So the 4" by 4" squares will be used to make half square triangles. Sorry. And so again, I have the fabrics laid out for 2 blocks. So now I'm going to take the fabrics over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to start by making my half square triangle. So I'll take both sets. I like to do things in groups if at all possible. So I will make the half square triangles for both blocks, and then I will come back to you, and then we will begin to lay out the block. Now, the next step is to separate your half square triangle. So I am just uh, lining up my 1/4" line on the ruler with the stitch, and then just splitting the 2 half square triangles in half, or separating them. So again, line up your 1/4" line on your seam and cut the 2 half square triangles apart. The blocks have been ironed flat, so I am now ready to trim them up to 3.5" square. So I'm going to be using my Creative Grids ruler to do these cuts. So the first thing you want to do is to line up the 45 degree line on your actual 45-degree line of your half square triangle. So get that as closely lined up as you can. And then we're going to cut on 2 sides here so that we're starting with a nice straight edge. Okay. So now we want to find our 3.5. This is 3.5, right? 3.5, 3.5. Okay. So we're going to find our 3.5 mark on the ruler here and line up the 2 sides that were just cut. Again, you want to line up on the 45-degree line, and that's 1, 2, 3.5. Okay. And so now we're going to cut the other 2 sides. Okay. So we have a 3.5" by 3.5" half square triangle. So we will repeat this process for the other blocks, and then we'll be ready to sew. So I'm going to put this on pause. So I like this to be a little bit closer to me so that I can see, and then I'll come back once all of my half square triangles are trimmed up, and then we will lay out this particular quilt block and piece it together. The half square triangles have been trimmed to 3.5" squared, and now I am just laying out the blocks for, or I'll say the pieces for this first block of our straight stitching sew sampler. There will be 10 different blocks. We will make 2 of each. So make sure you come back to look for the follow-on video so that at the end you'll have all of the blocks, and then we can piece them together to create our final quilt. So if you've watched me before, you know I like to lay the blocks out in this way so that I can do more than one block at a time. Um, may not make a difference in reality, but in my mind, it helps to speed things up. Okay, so I have all of the pieces laid out here for my two blocks of this straight stitching sew sampler. So now I am going to piece them together using a 1/4 inch foot. I'm going to sew all of these pieces together. I am going to do them, I'm going to chain piece them. Again, in my mind, this all helps to speed it up. In reality, it might be doing nothing at all, but it's the way that I like to do it. So as you sew more, you'll figure out things that might be tips or tricks for yourself to do things a bit more efficiently, or to do things to lay out your pieces in ways that you won't get confused or mess up your design. This is the method that works for me. I have sewn together I guess half of it, or maybe I'll say I'm a 1/4 of a way done. So I'm laying out the blocks again, or the pieces of the block again, so you can see that I have them sewed together in pairs of 2. The next thing I will do is to take these pieces to the iron so that I can flatten them. I've already finger pressed my seams open. So I will take these pieces to the iron. I will press the seams open, and then I will come back and then I will piece the 2 pieces together, each 2-piece set, and then I will form the rows. And then once I have those rows formed, I will um, iron them flat as well, and then I will begin putting each of the rows together. And then very shortly, we will have our first 2 blocks completed. So again, remember, these are all sewn together with the 1/4 inch seam. The solid blocks, or the solid blocks here, are each 3.5-inch squared. Your half square triangles, you create them by cutting 4-inch square pieces, creating your half square triangles, and then trimming them down to 3.5 inches squared. So again, I'm going to take these pieces to the iron, and we will be on our way with completing the first 2 blocks of our straight stitching sew sampler, where we will have 10 different block patterns. We'll piece them all together, and in the end, we'll have a really nice quilt. The next step in our process of creating our first block of the straight stitching sew sampler will be to attach the rows. So I'm going to start by attaching these 2 rows together here. So the 3rd and 4th rows together, and then the 1st and 2nd rows together. Because I do want to make sure my points are, um, as nice as possible, I am going to take the time to pin them together, just so that they don't move around as they go through the sewing machine. So when I'm sewing these together, I want them to be as nice as possible, but I am in no way seeking perfection. Pinning definitely helps to hold everything in place, but you still might find that once you sew your rows together and you flip it over to do the check, you might still be off slightly, hopefully not, but because I'm never quilting to enter any competitions or anything, it's usually good enough for me. So hopefully you will find that to be the case as well. Okay, so those two are pinned together. Now I will pin these two. The first block of our straight stitching sew sampler quilt is completed. Thank you for following along. I hope that you have found this to be enjoyable, and hopefully you will follow us through the completed process of creating the entire quilt. I think that once we have it together, all of the blocks, and you arrange it how you like, you're going to be very happy with the completed project. This is a beginner-friendly project, and it's also, as I mentioned before, a great scrap buster project. So again, thank you for following along. Please make sure you comment. I'd love to get some feedback on your thoughts on the video. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit the bell so that you can be notified the next time I post a video. The next block will be coming up soon. In the next day or so, I will release the video for that one. So again, there are 10 blocks, and we're just going to keep plugging away. And in the end, we're going to have a very nice quilt that I think that you're going to love. Thanks for watching.